So it's been a little while since we've had a Hammy in the collection. Loved Hamilton for years. The khaki line, the Pioneer line. There's a bunch of really great ones that you might not even know about. I never, there's we know about the Murph, we know about the other watch, that All Right wore and Intersteller. Those are great pieces. But there were watches that came before the Murph. Exact same design language except the bezel. I'm gonna get into that in the deck in a minute, but exact same model, slight dial change. Obviously didn't have Eureka on the seconds hand, but it had coin edge bezel, which is stylistic from the World War II chronos and so forth, but it doesn't function. It just sits there, so I kind of don't like it. That's why I do like the Murph quite a bit. It's a larger watch. I haven't had it in hand. I imagine it's going to wear too big for me. But a beautiful watch. And certainly when it first came out with that special Tesseract box thing, that was a neat bit of kit. All the ones available now do not have that. It's okay. It's just a box. It's not the watch. But I've noticed that there's like some really great World War II inspired chronographs in the Team Earth line from good old Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford. And I owned a couple of those over the years. And I'll show you those in a hot minute. But I wanted to talk about the Macy's Gambit, as what I'm calling it. Macy's, and for that matter Nordstrom's, sell Hamilton watches. Now Hamilton watches range anywhere from $250 to $4,000 at the high end for rarer birds, and maybe that's on the used market for rarer ones, but certainly Hamilton has some options in the $2,500 range. But according to Macy's, I guess that's not high enough to warrant their removal from their special coupon days. My mother, who had a Macy's charge card, used to get all these crazy, wacky coupons in the mail. 40% off, but if you come in a Tuesday and you say a special phrase, you get an extra 15% off. All this Goonie stuff, or thereabouts. And there were special times you could combine coupons. And that's one way to get a steep discount on a brand new Hammy. What you would do is, chances are your local Macy's isn't going to have the cool watch models. Mine doesn't. You order it off their website and either have it delivered to your local store or to you. You're going to end up paying full price. That's okay. And then you go to the store with your coupon and all of your math ready. You perform a hard return at the store. The return must go through. Can't just be giving you a partial refund. You must do the return, and you'll find out why in a minute. Do the hard return. They've got the stock. Let the worker know what you're doing, especially if it's a weekend and it's around a holiday sale. It's gonna be they're gonna be having a tough day. Those are tough jobs. I work those jobs around the holidays. So, but then the piece de resistance, after you've returned it and you've got all your coupons, you double checked it, it's eligible, all that stuff, do the work. Then you open up a Macy's charge. And that is the one discount that can always be applied on top of whatever coupon days they're running. Yes, this is a lot of work for a watch that is perhaps not that expensive. But let's say this Hamilton watch, let's say you're newer in your collecting life, newer in this hobby of ours, and this is a reach for you. This is a stretch watch. Awesome. This way you can save more money and get that max value. That's what I like to do. I need to start doing some videos about buying strategy and negotiation strategy. I think that's the one space where I can lend a newer voice, a newer take on it. And so keep your eyes out for that. And with that, let's take a look at some of these beautiful Hemis, and let's hit the deck. All right, here we have Hamilton back in the collection. One of the reasons I ended up hunting this khaki air race is because I hadn't had a Hemi in the collection for some time. And for a while, I was hunting these Hemis, these Harrison Ford models, Team Earth. And they have some really beautiful models, particularly their chronos that we're going to take a look at. But time only as well. Just amazing pieces, and associated with the association with Harry, with Han Solo and Indiana Jones aside, they're really great watches. The first thing you need to know about the Team Earth watches is that they come with really excellent straps. Hamilton really knocked it out of the park with these straps. But if you're collecting with an eye on value retention, you need to know they're floating out there with a couple different boxes. And just like with the Murph, when that Murph first came out with the Tesseract box, and then next couple generations came out with the generic boxes, same thing happened with Team Earth. A true Team Earth package set will have that, first of all, obviously the Team Earth on the background. But this corrugated cardboard monstrosity is the true Team Earth packaging. And what we see over here on the right is the garden variety basic Hamilton packaging that sometimes these watches will end up in, particularly if you're getting them from Macy's and or Nordstrom. They end up with these generic packages. Not a big deal. I'm not a big proponent of, papers and packaging, box and papers. I'm after the watch. But it's something to consider, especially if you're choosing one versus the other. So that's the first key note about the Team Earth watches. They're really beautiful. Here are, gosh, gotta love the picture with Indiana Jones. We've got the time and date models on the left with that coin edge bezel. The chronograph series in the middle, also with coin edge. Then we've got the GMT off to the right, which is a triple crown model. One of those crowns actuating the internal rotating bezel. But this chronograph in the middle, for me, was always the belle of the ball. And it looks like a silver dial, and it's actually more of a golden silver dial. I want to call it tobacco without it sounding bad, but in person, it is utterly, epically beautiful. And the only reason I parted with mine is that onion crown. While it's practical, didn't necessarily care for it aesthetically, but an amazingly beautiful watch. And these coin edge bezels, they're an aesthetic from World War II watches. Thank you, Hanhart. But they don't have a dot on them, and they don't rotate, which is one of the reasons why the Murph is, in my opinion, not just because of the movement being 80 hours, but design aesthetic. It has a smaller crown than the onion crown, and it has a flat bezel, which I think is prettier than a non-functioning coin edge bezel. Although ultimately, Indy, I love you! All right, let's look at some stats. Let's look at some metrics here. All right, khaki Team Earth, time plus date. I own this watch for a long, long time. Gorgeous. 42 millimeters, although the lug to lug, not that far. So it wears pretty well, and I did pull it off on my 6.5-inch wrist. The Team Earth chronos, part of me regrets selling it. Gosh, those cathedral hands are so beautiful on this soft gold silver tobacco dial. Beautiful. And this GMT, I never owned this one, but it's part of the lineup, so it's worth sharing. And it's a unique looking piece. Never appealed to me particularly. It's not to say I wouldn't own or wear it. It's a good looking watch. The entire line is pretty fabulous. Hamilton has some real gems out there. All right, what's the shakedown? This reference, the first one I bought I got for $300. The second one I bought for $400.
And gosh, they're just gone, like everything, they're going up and up. You can net this out at 600 if you do some work. Also has a beige dial. This chronograph, these are hard to find right now. I've owned them for as low as 800, for 1100, but these days, it's the Wild Wild West. 1275 to 18. I think the only one out there right now is in the high 1800s. That's too much. Try and net this around 1200 if you can. There's also a black dial variant and a gray dial. They are not Team Earth, but they are local to this reference line. And lastly, this GMT, it's anyone's guess. I've seen them as low as 600, 575, and then as high as 1500. If you dig it, it's a cool watch. Just know that you're gonna probably end up paying for it at this point. And for some extra credit, this is the mechanical version of the watch. Not Team Earth, but it has this highly beautiful, highly unusual hunter's cap style strap. So that little thing off to the left actually goes over the watch and snaps into place. Kind of esoteric, but it's really cool as well. The true uniqueness of this piece is that crown, and it's a little bit thinner because it's mechanical. There's no date, but the crown is flat. It sits flush. And this is probably the true ancestor of the Murph. Design aesthetic. You know, if you were to put a flat bezel on this watch, you would have a Murph. The reality is, if you follow my game plan for the Macy's Gambit, you can put yourself into a Murph for less than this piece. And with the Murph having the 80-hour power reserve, the Murph has since surpassed this. You know, when I started thinking about doing a video about this, I could buy these at $300. Those days are gone. So follow the Macy's Gambit and we can get you into a proper hammy.
But there you have it. Hamilton, great watchmaker, great options. And if you end up pulling the Macy's Gambit, let me know. Drop me a comment. Drop me a line. I almost pulled the Macy's Gambit on a Bulova Moonwatch a couple years back. And after the discounts, the coupons, the mystery sale, doing a dance in front of them, whatever, and the credit card, I would have went out the door at like $220, which would have been an amazing price on the watch. I decided not to buy the watch, but it was a fun exercise. It's just too big for me personally. Great watch. But the Macy's Gambit, it's going to be a thing. All right. Check that out. Let me know if you do. And thank you for coming along on this ride and sharing a little bit of this fabulous hobby of ours. All right. Have yourself a great day. Peace.